Hey everybody, it's Tactard Ted, second day of March 2025. How's everybody doing? So, I hate to say I told you so, but I fucking told you so. Eventually we got tired of giving money to Hebrew Hitler and his regime in Kiev. And I've tried to tell you folks that you don't understand what's going on in Ukraine, that you don't understand how xenophobic and entitled they all are. Well, I think we pretty much saw that on display in the Oval Office. So a couple of things about that. Much as I predicted 3 years ago, we now have people like Senator Lee and other folks that are demanding that we remove ourselves from NATO, which is probably not a bad idea, even though I'm a pretty militant sort of guy and I believe in a strong military. I don't believe in redistribution of wealth or welfare fraud. And that's really what NATO has become over the last couple of decades, is welfare fraud. We're spending a lot of our money and we're giving it to a lot of people who refuse to spend their money. Now everybody goes, well, they don't have much money. They don't have much money, Ted. Well, guess what? When women can take 3 years off, as they do in many of these European countries when they have a newborn, 3 years, which, don't get me wrong, I think it's important for a mother and a child to bond. They're doing it at our expense. We're paying so they don't have to pay for their military. We're paying so that they can have all sorts of social programs for their people. Now, even though I'll tell you I don't believe in wasting a lot of money, if somebody gets 3 years off to spend with their new child and their family, shouldn't that be American women? Shouldn't that be American families? I mean, if we're going to pay for somebody to sit on their ass and spend time with their kids, shouldn't it be our people? Why should we be paying so that Europeans can do that, then talk down to us? I mean, if anything has been prevalent during the last few weeks is just how much they want to talk down to the United States and then demand that we back up their silly shit. I always thought it was rather stupid. You're going to talk shit to somebody you want something from and then basically demand they do what you want after you've talked shit about everything they've done. It's a bad look. And we're the sort of tolerant, inclusive people anymore that let the Europeans get away with that shit. Now, apparently Trump is not letting them get away with that. I really just believe that it has become time to say enough. It is time to say a fucking enough. There is no reason that we should be paying large sums of money to NATO to have NATO defy us. And we're supposed to be a military bloc. Everybody's screaming about NATO, that we need to let Ukraine in NATO. Well, there are several members of NATO that don't want Ukraine anywhere near the alliance. And putting in a country that is unstable, like Ukraine is, into a bloc where we're going to have to go to war if they get into a scrap, probably doesn't make a lot of sense. I mean, do you want to go to war with Russia and Ukraine? I don't want to go to war. You know what? Most of these folks who stand with Ukraine, who want to support Ukraine, number one, they couldn't find Ukraine on a map without names. It's real easy if you know where the Black Sea is and you look for that little piece of Russia that hangs out that's called Crimea, and then right above that is the dumpster fire known as Ukraine. Second of all, most of these folks who stand with Ukraine have never cut a check for Ukrainian relief, have not bought food for Ukrainian people. There are people I know of in Russia who've went out and spent money to buy food to give relief to the people in Ukraine, as odd as that may seem. Really, folks, we're at the point where NATO has outlived its usefulness, and we're also at a crossroads. Now, I'm not going to make any pretense, any nonsense about this. I didn't like Joe Biden. Didn't care for him. I thought he was a terrible president. 100%. But I will tell you, had any foreign leader came into the Oval Office and disrespected the president of this country, even Joe Biden, the way that Zelensky disrespected President Trump, I would be fucking livid. And I'm a little livid at Zelensky, but it's kind of like a I told you so. But had he done that to Biden and acted that entitled and that demanding and that snotty as he did with Trump and Vance, I would be livid. I would be pissed. Not because I like Joe Biden, which I don't. It's because you've just disrespected my country and my leader. And I think there's a lot of folks out there right now that need to be asking themselves this morning why they don't love this country, why they will stand with Zelensky, why are they so emotionally charged that they'll allow somebody from another country to disrespect our leader in our capital, the Oval Office of the White House. They're going to come in and basically tell our president what they're going to fucking do. Now, excuse me for being a little bit of a patriot and a little bit of somebody who gives a shit about my country. That's not fucking acceptable. I don't care if it's Biden, Obama, Bush, Reagan, Trump. You go into the Oval Office of the White House and you act like an impotent little shit. You should be treated like an impotent little shit. And of course, Zelensky was unceremoniously tossed out on his head. The White House staff ate the lunch that Zelensky was supposed to have after signing the minerals deal. And, Trump's no longer interested in the minerals deal. Now, full disclosure, everybody goes on and on and on about this minerals deal. I never thought it was a great idea to begin with because I really don't think that we're ever going to see any sort of return on our investment. Maybe Trump was trying to make the best out of a shitty situation. I don't know. But I'll be honest with you. If you want to buy up the mineral wealth of Ukraine, then you might want to cut a deal with Putin to get it because he's probably going to be owning the majority of it if things continue to go the way they're going. I hate to say it. I call it what it is. And I also stand by a statement I made earlier. If you really believe that you need to stand with Ukraine and you're not willing to do it in a pair of combat boots in Ukraine, and you believe that we need to spend tons and tons of money, what kind of a heartless dick are you? You're sending money, so that Zelensky can kidnap people off the streets, put them in a uniform, give them no training, and send them to the front where their life expectancy isn't so good. Number one, because they're not trained. Number two, because, well, a lot of the Ukrainian generals and officers have found a way to skim money off the top of the weapons that we've been sending. And it's going to become a perpetual cycle. All you're doing is you're paying to kill Ukrainian kids and Russian kids. That's really what you're doing. And if you can't grasp that, well, I'm not sure there's any hope for you. This war has been one way since it started. There has never been a chance that Ukraine was going to win this. There was a chance back in 2022 that Ukraine could have kept its borders. That was offered up in the Istanbul Agreement that Zelensky was eager to sign until Boris Johnson and the U.S. State Department told him, no, you're not going to sign that. We're going to back you to the end. And for that little lack of judgment, Zelensky has lost probably about 1 million of his own people. I'm talking in combat dead. I'm not talking in the millions that fled to Russia and to Western Europe, because there is a large percentage of his population that did exactly that. And like I said, Russia and the EU, people don't seem to grasp that either, that as bad as Russia supposedly is, as Russia's this great aggressor that invaded the sovereign state of Ukraine, why would the people of that country flee to Russia? I mean, isn't that interesting? Russia actually has more Ukrainian refugees than all the EU. Just a little bit of perspective there, folks. And I don't want to come down, and everybody always, I love this nonsense that I'm a Putin bot, I'm this, I'm that, why don't you move to Russia, all that horse shit. Well, dude, Zelensky just disrespected the President of the United States, and if you're fully in Zelensky square, then you're a Zelensky puppet. You're a Zelensky simp. Why don't you go to Ukraine? Why don't you go fight for Bandera and all that happy shit? And most of you guys don't even know who Bandera is if you're pro Zelensky, so there's no even point in making that argument. I think that most of you folks just need to get a grip on reality. We need to get the hell out of NATO. We need to worry about our own borders, our own people. We need to stop all this bullshit that's flowing across our southern border. We need to build another wall at our northern border or make Canada the 51st state. And we need to secure everything from the Atlantic to the Gulf of America to the Gulf to the Pacific Ocean. We need to make our borders secure. We need to worry about the sovereignty of the United States. We need to worry about our borders. Ukrainian borders ain't my concern. The borders of the EU ain't my concern. The borders of my home is my concern. And it should be yours too. Or maybe you might want to move to Europe, or maybe you might want to move to Ukraine. Because if your loyalties are that divided, then maybe you might want to do some self-examination. Anyhow, Tactard Ted, that is all for today. Nice to see you folks again. Bye.